There's a reason I don't look at clocks anymore, or receipts, or license plates. If I see a number, I start adding its digits together, and if they sum to 11, I know I'm only 3 steps away from 38. That's how it works now. That's how it's always worked. I just didn't know it until last month. Let me explain, because if I keep this inside any longer, I think my chest is going to crack open like an egg. I'm a night janitor at an elementary school. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills and I like the quiet. Most nights, I have the whole building to myself from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Just me, a mop bucket, and the hum of the fluorescent lights. I'd been working there for about 2 years when I noticed something strange about the south wing. The school was built in the 70s, all low ceilings and narrow hallways. The south wing used to be the kindergarten section, but they'd moved the little kids to a newer addition about a decade ago. Now it's just storage closets and the old library. They keep the lights off back there to save energy. I only go down that way once a week to check the boiler room. 3 weeks ago, I was doing my rounds at around 2 in the morning. I had my headphones in, a podcast about unsolved mysteries, ironic in hindsight, and I was pushing my cart past room 117, which used to be Mrs. Hendrick's kindergarten class. The door was closed. It's always closed, but that night I noticed a piece of paper taped to it. Not there during the day, I was sure of it. I pulled out my earbud and bent down to look. It was a child's drawing, crayons waxy and bright, a stick figure standing in front of a door, and above the door, a number, 38. And then, written in the same childish scrawl, the words, "My new home." I stared at it for a long time. The hallway was cold, colder than the rest of the school, which made no sense because the boiler was right below us. I could hear it humming through the floor, a deep, steady note that I usually found comforting. That night, it sounded different, slower, like it was breathing instead of running. I took the drawing off the door, folded it, and put it in my pocket. Probably some kid from the after-school program, I told myself. They're always leaving artwork in weird places. I finished my shift, went home, and forgot about it. The next night, I found another drawing. Same crayon, same style. This time it showed 2 stick figures. One was small, with a triangle for a dress. The other was taller, with a mop in its hand. Me. The figure that was me stood at the end of a long hallway, and the small figure was pointing toward a door labeled 38. At the bottom, the words, "Follow me." I should have told my supervisor. I should have called the police. Instead, I folded it into my pocket next to the first one and kept working. But I couldn't stop thinking about that door. Room 38. I'd worked in that building for 2 years and I couldn't remember ever seeing a room with that number. The classrooms went up to 26. The storage closets were lettered. So where was 38? That weekend, I went back to the school during the day. I told the principal I forgot my lunch bag. He was busy with a phone call and just waved me in. I walked straight to the south wing. The lights were on during the day, which made everything look less ominous. The drawings were gone from the door of room 117, probably taken down by a teacher, but I noticed something I'd missed before. At the very end of the hallway, past the boiler room door, there was another door, painted the same beige as the walls. No window, no number, just a small brass handle and a deadbolt that looked newer than everything else. I tried the handle, locked. I asked the principal about it on Monday. He was a heavy-set man named Mr. Calhoun, who chewed gum constantly and never made eye contact. When I mentioned the door at the end of the south wing, he stopped chewing. His jaw went slack for just a second. "That's a mechanical room," he said. "No reason for you to go in there." "I just noticed it doesn't have a number," I said. "All the other rooms do." He stared at me. "It's a mechanical room. Stick to your cleaning duties, okay?" He walked away before I could ask anything else. But I saw his hands shaking as he reached for his office door. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed thinking about the drawings, about the number 38, about the way Mr. Calhoun's face had gone pale. Around 2 in the morning, I got up and drove back to the school. I told myself I was just checking to make sure I hadn't left my flashlight in the supply closet, but I knew why I was really there. The building was dark. My key card still worked. The system was old, and the principal was too cheap to update the access logs. I made my way through the silent hallways, past the cafeteria with its ghostly rows of lunch tables, past the gym where the basketball hoops hung like crucified scarecrows. The south wing was darker than the rest. The lights were off, of course, but the emergency exit signs had burned out. I walked by memory, one hand on the wall, until I reached the end of the corridor. The door was there, still locked. But now, taped to its surface was a third drawing. I took out my phone and used its screen light to see. The drawing showed the small stick figure standing inside a dark room. The taller figure, me, was kneeling on the floor, covering its face. And behind me, drawn in thick black crayon, was a shape. I couldn't tell what it was supposed to be. A shadow, a hole, a mouth. And written above it, the number 38, over and over, filling the page like a scream. I heard something then, from behind the door, a soft, rhythmic sound. Counting, a child's voice, barely a whisper. 31, 32, 33. I pressed my ear against the cold metal. The counting continued, slow and deliberate, each number accompanied by a soft footstep, the sound of small shoes on a concrete floor. 34, 35, 36. My hand was on the deadbolt before I knew what I was doing. I twisted it. It didn't turn. I twisted harder, and my fingernail caught on something, a small key, taped to the underside of the handle. I almost laughed. It was so stupid, so obvious. Like a trap in a children's story. 37. I took the key. I put it in the lock. I turned it. The deadbolt slid back with a click that echoed down the entire hallway. The counting stopped. The silence that followed was worse than any sound. It was the kind of silence you feel in your teeth. I pulled the door open. The room was not a mechanical room. It was a classroom. Small, maybe half the size of a normal one. The walls were covered in children's artwork, drawings, hundreds of them, pinned and taped and stapled to every surface. They showed the same stick figures, the same door, the same number. And in the center of the room, sitting cross-legged on the floor, was a little girl. She looked about 6 years old, brown hair and pigtails, a pink dress with a rip in the sleeve. She was holding a piece of red crayon, and she was drawing on the floor, not on paper, on the concrete itself, making broad, sweeping strokes that seemed to glow in the dark. She looked up at me and smiled. Her eyes were wrong, not the color, they were just brown. But the way they focused, they didn't look at me. They looked through me, past me, at something behind my shoulders. "You came," she said. "I drew you 38 pictures. You have to see them all." I tried to step back. The door was still open behind me. I could see the hallway, the flickering exit sign that had suddenly turned back on, but my feet wouldn't move. They were stuck to the floor. I looked down. The concrete beneath my shoes had turned soft, like clay, and the girl was drawing around my feet. A circle, a big red circle with numbers around the edge, a clock face, 38 marks instead of 12. "I've been counting for a long time," she said. 38 years. That's how long I've been waiting for someone to open the door. The last person who opened it was my teacher. She counted to 38, but she forgot to say the last number, so she stayed. Now she helps me draw. The little girl pointed to a corner of the room. There was a shape there. A person-sized shape, huddled against the wall. It was wearing a floral dress and had gray hair. It didn't move, but its fingers were scratching against the concrete, making the same small, rhythmic sounds I'd heard through the door. Scratching out the number 38, over and over. "You're going to help me too," the girl said. "But first you have to finish the count." She stood up and walked toward me. Her bare feet left no prints on the concrete. She stopped inches from my face. I could smell her. Crayons and dust and something sweet, like rotting fruit. 38, she whispered. "Say it." I couldn't. My throat had closed. My tongue was dry and heavy. I shook my head, the only movement I could make. She tilted her head. "That's okay. We have time. We have 38 days. And every night you'll come back. And every night you'll try to say it. And one night you will. And then you'll stay." She reached up and touched my forehead with one small finger. It was cold. So cold I felt it in my spine. Then she turned and walked back to the center of the room. sat down, and started drawing again. The door behind me slammed shut, the lock clicked, and I was standing in the hallway, alone, the third drawing crumpled in my hand. I ran. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember the next 3 days. I only remember waking up in my bed with the taste of crayons in my mouth and a new drawing on my nightstand. It showed me with a little girl standing over my bed and the number 38 written in every corner. That was 3 weeks ago. Every night since, I've woken up at exactly 2:38 a.m. Every night, I've found a new drawing somewhere in my apartment, under my pillow, taped to my bathroom mirror, inside my refrigerator, and every night, I hear the counting, not from the school, from inside my own walls. She's getting closer. Last night, I woke up and she was standing at the foot of my bed. The same pigtails, the same pink dress, the same wrong eyes. She was holding a piece of red chalk. 37, she said. Tomorrow is 38. Don't forget to say it. I'm writing this from a motel 60 miles away. I left my phone, my wallet, everything. But when I checked into this room, the number on the door was 138. And when I looked under the bed, I always look under the bed now, there was a drawing. 2 stick figures, one small, one tall, both of them standing inside a door that looks just like this one. I hear her humming in the ventilation shaft. I can smell the crayons. 38, 38, 38. I don't know if I can stop myself from saying it anymore. It's on the tip of my tongue right now. It wants out. It wants me to stay. If you ever find a door with that number, don't open it. Don't count the steps. Don't listen to the drawings. And whatever you do, don't let her touch your forehead. Because now I see the clock on the motel nightstand. It's 2:37 a.m. and she's already behind me. I can feel her breath on my neck. She's whispering 2, 3.